Julie Garland in the movie The Wizard of Oz, she clicked her heels 3 times to get back home. She believed that could take her home. Stephanie Mills in the Broadway musical The Wiz sang the beautiful song, Home. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. That's all I'm doing. It's not a TED song, it's a TED Talk. Okay? So home is where the heart is, right? So home, no matter where you go in the world, you travel, you go on these great vacations, you always want to go back home. And unfortunately, a little bit over a month ago, my son was in a horrible car accident. And I went and had an extended stay at my cousin's home in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And he lives it, baby. He's a millionaire, and the house is marvelous. A great grand house. But I was ready to go home. With that said, today, my TED Talk is going to be about home ownership. Home ownership matters. And are you home ready? Why home ownership? As I said before, home is where the heart is. And it's very important. Home ownership is very important. It's something I'm so passionate about. In my journey over the last 16 years, I have come in contact with all kinds of people from all walks of life. I'm a loan originator, but I'm also a generational wealth builder and a financial literacy coach. That is what I love to do. Home ownership, it matters so much, especially when it comes to the generational wealth building piece. Now, I have some startling statistics for you. And what is home ownership when you think about it? It's your village. Where do you live? Where do you reside? Your neighborhoods that your children are growing up in and how it cultivates you. Home ownership is important because guess what? When people care about where they live and they own where they live, they take care of it better. They take care of it better. Because people who are renters, I was sharing with Dr. Lakeisha before we started, people who are renters don't mind putting their car in the grass. Okay, they don't mind parking their car in the grass. They don't mind, going down the street or walking to someone's house and passing by trash. I'm not saying that everyone is like that, but when you have skin in the game, it absolutely makes a difference. Okay? So with home ownership, it stabilizes communities. And once upon a time in this nation, you could not vote if you were not a homeowner. Okay? So if you didn't own a home, your voice didn't matter. Your vote did not count. And that's something that is important. Thank God we're not in that place anymore. But as a part of the generational wealth building piece, the average, and I hate to tell you guys, it's really a sad reality. Okay, we're talking about that. Not only does it build wealth, but it has a social component to it. And it helps cause you to be healthier. But what I want us to know that there is a large disparity between, unfortunately, the ethnicities in our country when it comes to Caucasian people, African American people, Latino people, Asian people. Did you know that the average wealth, that the average Caucasian family is worth $171,000? The average African American family is worth $17,140. This is a statistic recent, 2021. This is not 2017, it's not 2016, 1998. This is right now. That's the wealth gap that we have when it comes to home ownership. The average, the Caucasian people, 73% of them own their homes. 43% of African Americans own their home. Why the wealth gap? Financial literacy is one, right? Now, for African American families, we teach our children to love Jesus, but not that if you get a credit card, you have to pay it back. And it's not funny. It's the truth. We don't teach our children that, and I always say, and we had a running joke in my family. My mom raised us to go to church. Dr. Jessica can attest. We went to church on Sundays. If you come to my house, you're going to church. That's how my mother rode, okay? So, but my dad, he loved secular music and things like that. So I always tell people, my mother, taught me the Lord's Prayer. My daddy taught me how to rock steady with the whispers, right? And if you came on my block, baby, my dad had the whole corner shaking because he had the best sound system on the block, So those are the kind of things is we have to learn to take, I love for our Christianity and our values that we want to teach our children. We have to roll that over in to financial literacy. And we have to teach them. My son is 20 years old. His dad called me up because he was going down to Tennessee to take him to his doctor's appointment. And he said, Shirlonda, Jay got a credit card? $2,000 limit? I said, yeah, send it to him. Yes, absolutely. I said, Jaden is on my credit card. Jaden's credit score is 729. I put him on a credit card that I knew I paid on time, right? Because that's what we have to do. We have to teach our children now about finances. So when my son is 21 or 22, I want him to own a home. I want him to purchase a property, okay? So we're going to go back to the home ownership, bringing both social and community benefits. It is a big deal to own a home. Not only does it help you to build wealth, but social, they said that statistics shows that people who own their home, they are happier people. Does that make sense to you guys? And happy people like to talk to other happy people, right? And they like to socialize. They are involved in their community. Now, back when we were growing up, they used to have black clubs. You all remember the black clubs? Did you all ever have black clubs? And those are the people who would get together, and they did not see they didn't see so much of the homicides and, the gang violence and things like that because they were the police. They were the police. Because you knew whose house to go to tell them that so-and-so's son broke into somebody else's house, right? Or if something was going on in that neighborhood, they did their own policing. So community development is a huge thing. And we can't talk about home ownership and look at that beautiful little family. There is a sense of pride. I can't tell you guys the number of people that I meet, and the struggle is real. We have single parents out here doing what they can do to take their life to another level and to set an example for their children, to let them know, and for their children's children. So, and as I said, we all want to, it's a wonderful thing to love God. It's a wonderful thing to worship God. But where is your stewardship level? Where's your stewardship level? Are you paying people on time? Do you pay your bills on time? It's different when you get in that hard place, right? And you're not able to do that. But it's very important that we are setting not only that Christian example, but an example of stewardship and economic responsibility. Because without that, if you never pay your rent on time, don't call me talking about you want to buy a house. Because we need to have a conversation. A friend of mine was telling me that someone very close to her, she never wants to pay her rent on time, but she's always talking about she wants to purchase a home, right? Well, all of these things are, it's great to want to do that, but guess what? I am your village when it comes to home ownership. When the young lady talked about being credit responsible, when you're learning about your financing, it truly takes a village. But the village has to surround you now. When you are as small as this young lady here, when you are as young as Megan's daughter, who's 12 years old, she's a preteen. When you are very young, like Lakeisha's daughter, we need to take care of all those things. Those are my statistics, but I can't hardly see them over there. So home ownership is our generational wealth builder. Okay? So we have to remember that as we are moving forward in life, that generational wealth, we want to break those generational curses by building generational wealth. I thank you for your time today, and I'm Shirlonda Nicole, and that's my TED Talk.